This video is an introduction to the second year, second semester core chemistry lab program. You must watch this video and answer the short quiz about what you've seen before you can access other important parts of this Blackboard site. Even if you've completed a second year chemistry unit before, please still watch this video as it contains important information specific to this course. First, here are some of the faces you'll need to know during this course. I am the second year lab director. You should contact me in case of any questions about the course that are not answered in the lab manual or on Blackboard. Please do not contact your lecturers or the student admin manager. They will just pass on your queries to me. You can expect a reply within 24 hours. Professor Greg Waugh is the deputy lab director. Shane and Carlo are the technical officers who work in the Level 5 service room. They oversee the day-to-day running of the labs. As part of this lab course, you must attend 8 lab sessions in weeks 1 to 8. Labs run from 1 to 5 p.m, so make sure that you turn up ready to start at 1 p.m. During week 1, you'll all be completing the same experiment, that is experiment 1. After that, you'll be rotating through 5 different experiments in this lab course. Experiments 5 and 6 will run on 2 consecutive weeks. Your timetable will tell you which lab group you're in, and in week 1 you will get information on the order in which you will do the experiments. The lab classes are at capacity, so we cannot allow students to swap between days. It's therefore essential that you attend the day for which you have been timetabled. If you absolutely must change lab days for 1 week, you must contact me at least a week in advance to organise this swap. If you just turn up at the lab, you won't be allowed in. The lab program folder on Blackboard contains all the essential information you will need for the course, including the pre-work quizzes, the folder for report submission, and other important information like appendices on lab techniques and some training documents. Make sure that you have a look back at the Blackboard site from time to time to see whether we have updated any announcements or any important information. The first thing you must do as soon as you can is to pick up a lab manual from the Level 5 service room. Please read through this thoroughly as it contains all the information you need about these labs. Experiments can often take the full 4-hour session, so it's essential that you have read the lab manual and planned your experiment before you come to class. In some cases, it might be suggested that you make a flowchart. This is a really good idea as it means that you clearly know what you will do at each step of the experiment. Before you come to class each week, you must complete the online pre-work for the experiment you'll be doing. This is a very easy quiz. It consists of just 5 questions, most of them multiple choice, and many of the answers can be found in the lab manual. The pre-work is essential. It's designed to make sure that you've read the lab manual before you come, and it also covers any safety issues. If you haven't done the pre-work, you won't be allowed into the lab. The pre-work is in a folder in this Blackboard site, but remember that you won't be able to access it until you have completed the short quiz below this video. In this course, most of the experiments will be performed individually, but for a few you will be working in groups of 2 or 3. In addition, for some experiments you will pull your experimental data at the end of the lab and use the combined data to write your report. One of the aims of this lab course is to teach you to report your scientific results. We therefore require that your reports are your own work and are not plagiarised from other students or from other sources. So even when you complete an experiment in pairs, the report must be your own. The exception to this is the oral presentation, in which you will work and report in pairs. We do actively check for plagiarism, and in any cases where we identify that you have copied from anywhere, we will take further action. You will be given a lab notebook that looks a bit like this. You must record all your data in the notebook and write down anything that is important. If you want to query a mark or ask a question, you must bring your notebook with you so that we can check what you actually did in the lab. If you completed the chemistry labs last semester and you still have your lab notebook, then please continue to use it. This will save us from wasting half-filled notebooks. If you do reuse your notebook, you won't be required to complete the lab safety map again, as we will be able to see that you've already done it. You will be given a green card in this lab course. Paste this into the front cover of your lab book. This card will show your personal details and will also include a barcode encoding your student number. The group and the lab day shown on your green card will be correct on the day of printing, but we realise that sometimes these do change. If you change your timetable after this point, you should confirm with me or with the service room staff about which group you should continue to be in. The card will also show the order of experiments for your particular group. And finally, it will contain a spot for sample collection or hand-in. If you go up to the service room counter to collect a sample or hand in a sample, you must bring your green card with you. The marks breakdown for the course can be found in the introduction to the lab manual. You will see that for all experiments, the pre-work counts 10%, and the remainder of the mark will be a combination of experimental results and the experimental reporting method. For experiment 1, you will need to write a short report. For experiment 2, you will be preparing a poster. For experiment 3, you and a partner will give an oral presentation. Experiment 4 will again be assessed with a short report, while for experiments 5 and 6 you will write a full report. For all reports and posters and presentations, the due date is 1 week after the day that you complete the lab. And all reports must be uploaded via Turnitin on Blackboard. More information can be found in the lab manual instructions. You can find a further breakdown of marks in the details of each experiment throughout the lab manual. The results mark that you get for each experiment will be marked according to how close you are to the correct answer or to the maximum yield. We use the standard deviation of student results for this marking. This means that if you lose marks, you know that your answer was further from the correct answer than that of many of the students. For analytical labs, you will be required to submit your results on the computer system in the labs. In some cases, we will be able to tell you your results mark straight away, but in other cases you'll need to wait until they're uploaded on Blackboard, and this should be done within a week. For synthesis, you will be marked on the sample that you submit to the service room. You'll be marked on the yield and on the appearance. Remember that you will lose marks if your yield is above 100%, as this indicates impurities or incomplete drying. It is essential to consider safety when working in the lab. You must be wearing closed shoes, safety glasses, a lab coat, and have long hair tied back. Whenever you step out of the lab, even if it's just to go to the toilet, you must take off your lab coat. You are not allowed to wear a lab coat anywhere in the common areas of the building. As usual, there should be no eating or drinking in the laboratory, and you are not to talk on your mobile phones or even text while you're in the lab. If you absolutely must take a call, please step outside. There is a safety map in the lab manual which will help you identify all important safety features of the labs. You must complete this map and have it signed by a demonstrator when you first come to the lab. One aspect of the safety is that we need to keep track of who is in the lab at all times. We are doing this by having a sign-in, sign-out computer where you can scan your student cards each time you walk in or out of the lab. You must do this even if you are just going out to the toilets or to have a drink of water. The computer will record your attendance at the lab, but we will not record any other information. We are only collecting this information for safety. If you don't have your student card with you, you can type in your SID. In the first experiment, you will be given the task of identifying an unknown organic compound. You will work individually, but your group will rotate through different workstations that will let you collect data about your unknown. This lab will be a chance for you to learn and practice key analytical techniques that you will use through the rest of your course. You will also have a chance to practice writing experimental methods and creating figures and tables with helpful captions and headings. Remember that the first thing you need to do is to complete the quiz just below this video. And don't forget to pick up your lab manual and do your pre-work before you come to class. We look forward to seeing you in second year labs this semester.